New film we're carrying, Shadow Government, blew my socks off. It's got Catherine Albrecht in it. It's got G. Edward Griffin, so many others. Amazing new documentary film. We have them in stock, discounting it out of the gates, and you can get Fall the Republic half price when you get it with Shadow Government. We have some other specials on T-shirts as well, all at Infowars.com. We have the apparel where you can openly stand up against the New World Order, identify, meet like-minded people, all available at Infowars.com. We've got a bunch of specials where you can get videos for half price, get free videos, get free T-shirts, a bunch of specials, new specials at Infowars.com, or call toll-free and tell them you want Shadow Government and that you want to get Fall the Republic half price, exposing the criminal banking cartel. The public wants to know why they're losing their savings and their jobs. It's our job to expose these people. Shadow Government, Fall the Republic, Infowars.com, or call toll-free 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. And you can see all of my films in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv. We run the special in December and partway into January every year. It ends this Friday at midnight. You can get 5+ months free right now at prisonplanet.tv, and we stream the live radio show as video. A lot more than just a webcam here, ladies and gentlemen. The document cam, our guest, everything. Higher quality archives of the radio show, prisonplanet.tv, and you can download and burn the films and TV shows to disc on whatever topic you wish. It's all covered. FEMA camps, vaccines, the environmental fake takeover, all of it covered at prisonplanet.tv. And I want to open the phones up for our guest specifically on Bankergate. If you specifically have questions for our guest on what's happening in Iceland, what's happening in Europe, what's happening here in the U.S., on how they stood up to the bankers, how they're starting to defeat them. The toll-free number to join us today on this Wednesday, the 13th day of January 2010, is 1-800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. And joining us via video Skype from the capital of Iceland is the member of parliament and the chairman of her party that is really gaining more and more seats and more popularity as the people stand up and find their legs against the bankers. Birgitta Jónsdóttir, again, is our guest. As we went to break, I was asking the question for people that just joined us. Now that it looks like Iceland's going to vote against paying this fraudulent debt to the bankers that have already robbed you, they just want more now. Now they go, oh, suddenly we found all these assets in the bank. Looks like you don't owe us, even though it's fraudulent, owe us as much as we thought. So now they're backing off, going, okay, we won't destroy you. We won't embargo you. We won't put blockades up. We won't destroy your nation after we already robbed it if you just pay us a third of what we wanted. So, again, we're showing that these guys are paper tigers, straw men, if you'll just stand up and fight them. And leading that fight, we are so honored to have you, and we salute you because we're all in this fight together. Please continue.
Okay, I just want to clarify one thing, that the people that are really leading this fight are the people of Iceland.
Yes.
And
yeah, but I mean, you come up in all the major newspapers around the world, and of anybody, you really are the figurehead and a quite well spoken one as well. So I mean, it's your face there on the front of the ship.
Well, in some aspects, but however, it's been a lot of people working on this, and so I don't want to take all the credit for it. One thing that we should also bear in mind when it comes to the Icelandic saga, the ISAF saga, and the entire collapse is that I met with John Perkins last year, just before I got elected into Parliament, and I asked him, what should we do to get rid of the IMF? And he told me that he was the most important thing we could do, and I think the same applies to you in the States and all over the world, is that you are the creator of your reality, and if you want changes, you are going to have to do something, okay? And obviously we were hit by an economic hitman. I don't know who it is or if there were many, but it is blatantly obvious, and it was very interesting how Iceland, when we were actually doing really well, they decided to go into the biggest construction constructing a huge dam in order to give Alcoa dirt cheap energy that nobody knows the price of. And that's one of the battles, is just to find out how cheap they're getting the energy. And the policy of the government that was previously, and the government that was previous to that, was basically to sell Iceland's energy dirt cheap. They were basically pimping Iceland. If you would read some of the proposals on getting all the aluminum smelters into Iceland, which is, by the way, one of the last pristine nature in Europe, you would be shocked. So there are many aspects to this saga, and we're just in the beginning of understanding how deep it goes. And it will be very interesting to see who are the corrupt people, and if the nation has the guts to have them punished in one way or another for how they have sold out our country. And the interesting thing as well is that when the British decided to use the Terrorist Act on Iceland, very similar to how the Chinese took over Tibet. The Tibetans didn't have any army; they had a few people with guns that were hunters. Icelanders don't have any army or military, and our cops don't even carry guns. So, it's probably the least threatening nation in the world to being passed on side by side to Al-Qaeda and Zimbabwe and North Korea. So, but the lesson to be learned for the rest of the people in the world is that we are the first one to be hit. You could be next.
Absolutely. The establishment is now moving on to gobbling up first world nations. They're doing the same process here. So this key vote coming up, I mean, is Iceland going to be able to not just stop the bankers from robbing you, but actually arrest some of these criminals, or at least put arrest warrants out for them and signify that they are the criminals, they are the bad guys? I mean, that will destroy them in the PR war if they're rightfully indicted for fraud.
Yeah, like some of them actually still own the media, the main media, and they're still allowed to own it. It's unbelievable. But I think that we will have there is a huge wave of anger brewing again among the nation. And if the president would not have allowed us to give us this responsibility of voting on this particular bill, there would have been another revolution, and this time I fear it would have been more violent. The other one was relatively soft. But if the bankers and the people that are responsible for where we are at now are not going to get punished and put into jail, or I would like to see them expelled from Iceland forever and ever, then we will have another revolution on our hands.
Well, I mean, what do you call people in thousands of demonstrations, hundreds, every day, taking over government buildings, protesting in the streets, saying no, no, no? I've seen polls in Iceland where the vast majority are upset and saying they're not going to be part of it. Can you give us some of those numbers?
Well, when we started protesting, I come from that sort of grassroots level where I've organized protests and been part of protests for a long time in Iceland. We was just a handful of us in the beginning. There were actually more foreign media than us. However, it gradually grew into thousands of people. And because the numbers you would get in the Icelandic media would be always according to what the police estimated, because the media couldn't bother to go and count it, we only got accurate numbers when the foreign media came and counted the protesters, and it was thousands and thousands of people in some of the big protests. And then when we had the soft revolution that in the end drove the government away, I don't know, there were people protesting day and night, and it was in the middle of winter here. It was really cold. I had a friend that got pneumonia from standing outside, and they were doing this. They got all these drummers and all these people that were banging on pots and pans, and it was sort of similar to the revolution in Argentina. the pots and pans revolution, and that is what it was called in Iceland. It was extremely noisy, and it was driving the people in the parliament crazy. So maybe it was the noise that got them to resign. I don't know, but it was getting quite violent. There was a huge Christmas tree outside Parliament that the Norwegians always give us every Christmas, and they took that and burned it down. And this sort of protest had not been happening in Iceland since we joined NATO, because people
when the people started burning stuff down, the government started backing off.
Yes, absolutely, and also the police was attacked and they actually didn't have enough mace. They were running out of mace, so they started to use tear gas and stuff.
And the moral is, when people actually finally get mad and take action, no amount of SWAT teams, no amount of garbage can stop them.